In today's episode, I'm going to share techniques you can use to communicate with a boss who's a jerk. Let's do this. If you're an executive, manager, or employee who's trying to figure out ways to work with a difficult boss, I have a roadmap that you can use to help you navigate through these difficult times. Most employees understand the concept of management, but in that context, we usually discuss managing down. But managing up is every bit as important as managing down. In other words, it's your job to manage your boss as much as it's your boss's job to manage you. Now, managing your boss has to be extremely subtle. In an ideal situation, your boss shouldn't even know they're being managed. Given that, the first question you have to ask is where your boss falls on the coachable, non-coachable spectrum. If they're coachable, that's great. We'll talk about a strategy you can use with them in a minute. But if they're non-coachable, in other words, if there's no hope for them to change their behavior, then your strategy needs to be one of avoidance. Do your job, cover your bases, and quite frankly, start looking for another job. I hate to bring that up to you, but it's the truth. If your boss is coachable, in other words, if you can manage up and work with them, then your strategy has to be one of engagement. As difficult as it can be to engage with a boss who's a jerk, in the end, they're going to respect you for putting up boundaries. A lot of times, people who are bullies will continue to bully you until you say stop. Once you say stop, you'll be surprised at how often they'll gain respect for you. All of this leads to the question of how to talk to your boss in order to draw the boundaries. Dr. Eileen Russo developed a matrix that highlights the different communication styles, starting with low expressiveness on the left and leading to high expressiveness on the right. Then she has low assertiveness at the bottom and high assertiveness at the top. Each of these combine into certain styles: direct, spirited, systematic, and considerate. So if your boss is a highly assertive person and not very expressive, they're in the direct quadrant. If your boss is highly assertive and is very expressive, they're in the spirited category. The odds are that your boss, the one who's the jerk, is probably in the direct or spirited category. That's not always the case, but it often is. With bosses who fall into the direct category, you'll want to stick with the facts, get to the point, and eliminate any emotion from your conversation. With bosses who fall into the spirited category, timing will be important. Spirited people tend to be more emotional beings, so you'll want to communicate with them when they're in the best mood possible. Study this chart. By understanding if your boss is direct, spirited, systematic, or considerate, you can adapt your communication style to match the way they like to receive information. In other words, you can talk to them in the language they like to use. Now, if you're interested in learning more about communication skills, leadership styles, or leadership skills, be sure to click on this video or subscribe to the channel by hitting the link below. My name is Jamie Turner. I'm an author, an assistant professor, and a CEO, and I'll catch you next time.